My name is Curcio. I was Executive Vice President and also the one of two principal owners of two sizable senior housing companies engaged in owning and operating long-term care facilities, nursing homes, assisted living, independent living facilities. The two companies combined were called Consulate Healthcare and Envoy Healthcare, and operated in 7 states, approximately 85 locations. We had about $625 million of revenue and about 12,000 employees. So it was a pretty sizable company. We, as you can imagine, for a company that size, we had a substantial spend on telecommunication services and related services. I wasn't particularly looking for someone to come in and evaluate those services or audit the services. However, over the course of about 6 months, I began looking at some of the expenditures and kept seeing the expenditures increase on a monthly basis for no apparent reason. And about the same time, I happened to have met Todd Larson at a social function. And we then got to know each other a little bit, and we began talking. And I found out what he did for a living and his services, and I told him a little bit about our company, and Todd suggested that, well, perhaps we could be of service. I was a little bit skeptical at first, and so this wasn't a situation where Todd introduced his company to us or solicited our services, and we said, sure, come on in. This was probably a courtship that went on for almost a year before we actually engaged Limitless to give us some assistance. And during that 1 year time, we were continuing to struggle with telecommunication costs. And I noticed it in particular in our related management company. It was a service that internally wasn't particularly well managed. Some of it was fragmented among management. One of our facilities managers, one of our senior executives who was responsible for all of the facilities management, maintenance, and so forth, had part of the responsibility, and our chief information officer who ran all of the information technology services also had part of the responsibility. And there was really no one who was cohesively overseeing this particular discipline. So again, Todd suggested that perhaps he could help us. And it seemed like a pretty good opportunity because it was a relatively low-risk service on our part. His fees at the time were all contingent-based, and aside from going through the exercise of pulling together information for him and giving him access to information, it was relatively painless for us and relatively inexpensive for us to avail ourselves of the services. What we found was that we were shocked. We were shocked at how undermanaged we were with those disciplines. We were shocked at how little attention anyone was paying to some of the expenditures. And I think what Limitless did was they came in and they looked at virtually every aspect of telecommunication costs, from our wide area network contracts with carriers to our long distance services to all of the various local phone services we operated across 7 states and a wide array of facilities, our cellular services. We had quite a few cell phones in operation from management and regional folks. Our regional executives traveled quite a bit, and they looked at every one of those disciplines. And I was a bit skeptical at first that they would really find much, and it was shocking and in fact somewhat embarrassing that we had so mismanaged this expense discipline that Limitless was able to find the degree of savings that they did. My recollection is that the overall savings exceeded $500,000 across all of our network facilities and our corporate offices. We had a main corporate office and 2 regional offices, and several hundred executives that had cell phones and so forth. And we found things like a local executive director at a nursing home might call up the phone company and order a line that they didn't really need. and then the line would sit there unused and nobody would turn the line off. Or something as simple as a person would leave and someone forgot to get their cell phone or turn their cell phone off. There was also a major aspect of it where telecom billing can be quite complicated. A lot of taxes, a lot of little nuances that no one really understood internally in terms of our understanding of the bills. And Limitless did a really good job of auditing all those bills, dicing and slicing all of the various line items that we were being charged for, and found an error rate that to me was just astounding. It was just astounding. And Limitless was able to claw back a lot of those charges and generate substantial credits for us. And of course, they shared in some of that savings, and that's how we were compensated. So we were very pleased with the services, and I would highly recommend the service to anyone that has a sizable telecom spend, because you probably think you're doing okay, but when you find out that there's somebody that really understands that discipline and understands what you should be paying, it's really eye-opening.